Campaign promise to executive order.
President Trump is trying to make good on his pledge to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border and then to go after cities that have sanctuary policies. There are dozens here in California.
KCAL9 political reporter Dave Bryan shows us the president's major announcement and the reaction that followed. Dave?
Yeah, he's certainly not wasting any time. I mean, for the first week of his administration, first full work week, it's pretty amazing all the executive orders coming out. President Trump signed executive orders on immigration, the latest in a flurry of such orders in his first full week in office. These may be the most controversial yet, though, launching the construction of a border wall, setting the stage for dramatic increases in immigrant deportations, and threatening the withdrawal of federal funds from sanctuary cities, many of which are here in California.
A nation without borders is not a nation. Beginning today, the United States of America gets back control of its borders.
On his first presidential visit to the Department of Homeland Security, Donald Trump announced delivery of his most popular campaign rally pledge.
We'll begin immediate construction of a border wall.
Mr. Trump signed an executive order laying out the administration's plan to construct a physical wall along the Mexican border, in addition to adding 5,000 more Border Patrol agents to the 17,000 agents already on duty, and proceeding to build detention facilities for those who cross the border illegally.
The day is over when they can stay in our country and wreak havoc.
In his campaign, candidate Trump blamed the 11 million undocumented immigrants who are not in the country legally of taking jobs from Americans and driving up the crime rates. This is what he said on the day he announced his candidacy in 2015 about Mexican immigrants who enter the U.S. illegally.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
The cost of building the wall over more than 2,000 border miles is expected to run into the billions of dollars, and the question is who's going to pay for it. President Trump, who has insisted Mexico will pay, told ABC News American taxpayers will have to front the money.
All it is we'll be reimbursed at a later date from whatever transaction we make from Mexico.
México no pagará ningún muro.
But in a speech to his nation Wednesday night, Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto insisted his country will not pay for the wall, and he's reportedly considering canceling a scheduled meeting soon with President Trump. Along with the wall, Mr. Trump's executive orders would cut off funds to cities that don't report undocumented immigrants to federal authorities. It's part of the president's plan to crack down on the estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the country illegally. California is in the crosshairs of the Trump immigration plan, and local and state officials vowed to fight the new policies every step of the way.
These are spiteful and mean-spirited directives that will only instill fear in the hearts of millions of people who pay taxes, contribute to our economy and our way of life.
These executive orders threaten our public safety and the constitutional rights of all of us. Building a wall is a fiscally irresponsible use of public funds.
Mayor Garcetti says America's problems are not going to be fixed by the federal government attacking its cities.
These are folks from outside our city telling us how to police our city potentially, how to promote our economy. And I think we know better than anywhere else what is working.
And LAPD Chief Charlie Beck had a similar reaction about law enforcement.
Well, I've been policing the city for 40 years, and I don't know how much policing experience the president has, but I have quite a bit. And I believe in the way that we police Los Angeles. I believe that when you build trust, you build witnesses, you build people that cooperate with local law enforcement, and you keep your city safer.
Now, supporters of the Trump plan, including the group FAIR, the Federation for Immigration Reform, are cheering the president's executive orders. In fact, in November, that group proposed taking action against sanctuary cities to force them to cooperate with federal authorities on immigration enforcement, which is exactly what Trump's executive order signed today would do. Jeff?
So, Dave, L.A. is a sanctuary city, and for the most part, I guess California would be a sanctuary state. So
it is.
What would happen if they were to continue with that, what would the financial repercussions be if they were to withhold the federal money?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and a question that's on the minds of a lot of cities here and the state of California, as you indicated. In 2015, the most recent year I could find numbers for, the state of California has spent about $250 billion in its budget. More than a third of that came from federal funding. The same for the city of Los Angeles, where about 25% of the budget is provided by the federal government. Some of that is mandatory and cannot be cut. It's for programs that are written into the law and can't be reversed. But the rest of it, still billions of dollars, if you look at the numbers, could possibly, the federal government could try to take away. However, Mayor Garcetti said today there has already been a court ruling that would limit what the federal government could do in terms of taking money away from the city of Los Angeles. So clearly this will be battled out in the courts for a long time, my guess is, before we get a clear court decision. Lena?